Are Battle Royale games dying? It's either a mode you've loved and poured thousands of hours into, or it's perhaps one you'd consider buying or trying in the future, like with BR that is hotly anticipated to arrive with Battlefield 6. But, as a mode, is it on its bum and about to crash out, or like all great survivors, will it evolve to avoid extinction and live on? So we're going to take a quick look into this before you need to flush that toilet and get back to work. Yeah, I know what you're doing. Battle Royales are not a new phenomenon. They may somehow feel like it, but the mode has its roots go back as far as 2012 when, I'm afraid to say it, somebody made a mod for Minecraft based off the Hunger Games film with Jennifer Lawrence. We all know the premise. A load of people are abandoned in one location and have to duke it out to the death until only one person remains. It's the ultimate player versus player test, where when as many as 150 people are pitted in a battle of wits and skill against each other, but only one can win, how can there be any bigger accolade than that? This is not the same as being a faceless number in a 64-player Battlefield game where you can barely make an impact on the outcome of the match on your own. No, in Battle Royale, you can really be the hero. And so this mode gradually took off. We had further BR game mods come to the fore over the next couple of years, but it was when we got the first standalone games that Battle Royale as a game genre really grew. Around 2017 to 2018, we got two of the biggest titles. Out in the real world though, not every man and his dog has heard of PUBG. But due to a fast approaching a decade of savvy mashups with popular culture and every youth obsessing over the arrival of Sabrina Carpenter in this month's event, not even your nan is likely to have completely missed the phenomenon that is Fortnite. It's a juggernaut that continues to remain nimble with its evolution to stay current even after all these years. We'll get into the relevance of that more in a bit. But soon after the arrival of Fortnite BR, everyone was trying to muscle in to get a piece of the pie. Fortnite had been targeting the younger audience, but from Call of Duty and Battlefield, the two main FPS giants for grown-ups, we had Blackout and soon after Firestorm. Blackout certainly drew a bit of attention, but it released alongside COD and Black Ops 4 at the end of a string of games that had split the player base with arcade jump packs and wall running. It did okay. And again with Firestorm, which was actually the first ever BR I played, but I really enjoyed it. They aimed themselves at the game as wanting the grittier boots on the ground experience, but Battlefield 5 had also been a bit of a commercial miss, and as Firestorm was also tied into the paid-for title, its fate was inextricably linked to the lukewarm reception of BF5. But then Call of Duty managed to solve the exam question. It was clear that players wanted a more realistic experience, so just as they responded by releasing Modern Warfare 2019, they also recognised that the Battle Royale had its best chance at success if it was free to play. And as if Activision had won the gaming lottery, not only did they manage to come up with the best free-to-play Battle Royale formula to date, they also launched at the exact moment of a global pandemic broke out. Oh, come on! And all of a sudden, millions and millions of new and former gamers were busting out games consoles from dusty shelves and Amazon's online stores to have a go at this new game that all had a mate tell them about on a WhatsApp chat. And what followed was 3 years of bliss. Available friends all dropping in on a game night after a hard week of work and responsibilities to kick back with mates for a few hours and talk rubbish while sharing some laughs, maybe even some wins. Fortnite continued to do Fortnite and Warzone did Warzone. Only fast forward those 3 years and things were looking quite different for one of these two franchises. What happened? Two things mainly. Many people had gotten good at Battle Royale after sinking in the hours during COVID, and everyone else had fully re-emerged back out into the real world. 20-somethings were venturing back out into pubs and clubs, gamer dads needed to take little Freddie to swimming lessons and even spend some time with the missus after being stuck in 10 hours of commuter traffic each week.
Do you know who I am?
Do I care? Come on, who are you then?
Ronnie Pickering!
Who?
Ronnie Pickering!
Who?
Ronnie Pickering!
Time once again became the most precious commodity. But that's okay, isn't it? Instead of playing a couple of times a week, you can just meet up online with the squad once a fortnight or something. Well, actually, no. This is where the cracks in the foundations of Battle Royale started, and what will ultimately bring down any games that don't adapt. Remember earlier in the video I was talking about the unique selling points of Battle Royale? It's the ultimate player versus player test. How can there be any bigger accolade than that? You can't play on a large player mode with only one prize forever. If the only prize becomes winning, then on a map with 150 players, up to 149 people are going to walk away disappointed every time. When you're learning a game, you don't mind losing, or at least you shouldn't, unless you're an entitled little prince, but eventually you want to get some wins. You can also get satisfaction from the experience itself. I want to say it's not the winning that matters, it's the taking part. I'm not talking about participation trophies. I'm suggesting when a BR is new, or at least when BRs were new to the mass audience back in 2020, there could be fun found in the novelty of learning and the new and varied experiences. Playing along with mates potentially and just having fun. But in 2025, with the current split of ultra die-hard gamers and people that have returned to real life and responsibilities, 150 people battling each other cannot work. Efforts like skill-based matchmaking have been implemented to separate the sheep from the wolves, but with a lot of the sheep deciding the games are too difficult still and leaving anyway, you just end up with lobbies populated by wolves and slightly aggressive old dogs. This is made even more difficult to manage compared to 6v6 multiplayer game modes because you're trying to manipulate the skill brackets of 150 people online at any given time in a specific game mode and without them being so physically far apart that they're playing with over 100 ping. RIP to the Australian and Kiwi players. So where's it all going? Why is Fortnite still so incredibly popular, but new games like Splitgate and Super People are seemingly failing to even get going? And a titan such as Warzone has been relatively floundering for the last couple of years. I'm going to base this future prediction of survival based on Fortnite as the gold standard, because I genuinely believe it is. And as much as you might resent it, as much as we might want to be in denial about some of what I'm about to say that specifically applies to Battle Royale, their way they do it is the only way a Battle Royale can survive with mass market appeal outside of a global lockdown. And COVID ain't coming back, dude. I put this down to two things with a cherry on the top to make this 2.5. The first point is that Fortnite has a steady churn of players and ultimately a fresh influx of available new players every year. I pulled some numbers from the internet as a very rough guide. I won't go quoting these in court, but there's likely in a region of 8 million 12-year-olds in the USA and Europe right now. Now, irrespective of what age people start playing Fortnite, if it's 8, 10, 12, the point is that there are millions upon millions of kids growing up each year that can potentially pick up Fortnite for the very first time. Because what else are kids doing these days other than picking their noses and eating it while watching TikTok? So it's the sheer numbers of available player base to Fortnite by aiming it mainly at younger players, and the fact that if they cock something up, there'll be millions more potential players come along the very next year. The cherry on the top of this is that they are unquestionably the kings of live service. I've only played a little bit of Fortnite really, but anyone with eyes can see that the sheer scale and effectiveness of the fresh Fortnite seasons. How they change the maps, the characters, the mashups with famous icons and brands every single season to keep the game fresh, relevant, and players engaged. It is a masterclass. So in a lot of respects, while Fortnite is the same game that came out 8 years ago back in 2018, it's also clearly not the same game. In fact, they've changed it up so much and so often, bringing back OG modes is just one little side hustle in a vast array of playable options within Fortnite right now. I honestly would challenge anyone to try and get bored in Fortnite. You surely can't. And if you can, I'd strongly suggest touching grass as an available option. Now, heading in towards the close of this video, I'll talk about the final thing Fortnite and other BRs have done in order to maximise their chances of survival. They have to some degree solved the issue of there being just one prize on offer in a match populated by over 100 hyper-competitive people. They give the illusion of a victory royale without the hyper-competition by removing the competition. SBMM is still a thing, but the competition pool is far, far smaller because lobbies are partly populated by bots. And I'm not talking about inept thumbless players like your teammate Steve, I'm talking about actual AI, or non-player characters in old money. Fortnite added them just a year after the game came out, and PUBG followed not too long after. These two survivors of the Battle Royale apocalypse have had bots in their games for the vast majority of their life cycles. And if you've witnessed the popularity of the AI-supplemented casual modes coming to Call of Duty Warzone in tandem with the seeming decline of the pure player versus player modes, I think this acts as a solid case study for where all Battle Royales are headed. Pure PvP Battle Royale is going to be a thing of the past. For years, people have been prematurely predicting the death of BR, but I think we're finally at a point where BR is not strictly dying, but it is instead evolving. I think future BRs will have to encompass some kind of player versus experience aspect, or some sort of AI element into the game in order for them to succeed, because 150 real players going in and only one victory emerging is simply an unsustainable concept at this point. It's too sweaty to maintain a viable player base. Exactly how bots and AI are used to enhance future BRs will determine the feel and either the success or the failure of each individual game. What I mean is, bots aren't inherently bad, but in my opinion, they need to be added thoughtfully to add to the game experience, or at least effectively substitute the unique feeling of challenge and competition that made BR such a success in the first place. Fortnite and Warzone Casual have proven that there is still a huge proportion of players that don't care if an enemy is a player or a bot. If they can't tell the difference, they don't care. If it looks and smells and tastes like a human opponent, then leave me plugged into the Matrix, they say.
Ignorance is bliss.
That's a bit of a weird analogy, but you get what I'm talking about. But for those that can spot the difference, bots imitating humans can be a massive put-off. So perhaps for those players, the use of bots needs to be more imaginative. When playing Super People recently, I kind of enjoyed the novelty of having these weird monsters in the games. There are still AI balance tweaks to be made with that game, but it is an interesting way that they can pad out a 40-player lobby to feel bigger than it actually is. And that's only for those players like me that take no joy in battling bots posing as humans. If you are a die-hard PvP Battle Royale fanatic, then I would suggest you enjoy the remaining days of that experience before it's gone. You may find it kicks on a bit longer in ranked modes in some games, but I have no doubt the machines are coming, Jon Snow. Bots are the future of Battle Royale. If you've enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing. I'll be back soon, hopefully with some content on Delta Force, as a release date has now finally been announced for console. It'd be good to have you back for that and more, but for now, I'm out. Fortnite continued to do Fortnite, Warzone did Fortnite.